Hello, everybody. My name's Scott Simpson. I'm the General Manager of Tradies, and I'll be shortly introducing you to Natasha Birch, who's our Marketing Manager and Marketing Guru. We're here today to do some marketing myth busting. And the main reason that we've been doing this or wanting to do this today is we've been having more and more conversations with our tradies about their marketing and lead generation. And what we've noticed is a lot of misinformation, over promising, and maybe some miscommunication going on out there in the market today. So what we've done is I've brought our marketing manager, Natasha Birch, in here to help bust some of these myths that are dished out by marketing agencies. And to give you a bit of background on Natasha and how she came to Tradies is just like a lot of other businesses out there. We were on a marketing journey. We did all sorts of things. We did things like we worked with marketing agencies. We did marketing campaigns. We tried to manage our own marketing. We sponsored race cars. We did radio ads. We did events. We did everything. And what was very common at the end of it is that we would never get really any results. Everything would still be the same. We might learn a little bit more and try some new things, but what we were doing wasn't working. So we had a bit of an idea and thought, well, maybe what we do is we go and find the person that has the knowledge and the expertise and bring them in and make them a part of the tradie pad culture. So immerse them in what we do. They come in and they with their marketing specialist skills. And once they know tradie pad, well, the theory was that absolutely turned everything on the heads. And also too, we're not marketing specialists. It's not what we do, right? We're technology specialists, each with their own strengths. So really, we were just trying really, really hard, but not getting results and really being sold the dream and delivered donuts. But Natasha was really good because she came in and once she understood our business and really understood why we do what we do at Tradies, she was able to match that with her marketing skills and really turn it on its head. So I said to her one day, it's almost like you're coming in and doing a knockdown rebuild of our marketing. She goes, no, it's just a pivot. It's just a pivot. So she's been able to come in and really restructure our marketing from the ground up. Okay, and look, marketing's not a one-stop thing. You don't just do it and it's done. It's an ongoing process, and she has been able to really take us from level to level. Okay, but not only that, now is actually provide marketing services for our trades and construction clients. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Natasha.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, thanks so much for that intro. Yeah, I came to TradiePad after working with award-winning agencies, digital agencies. I've worked in traditional advertising, and to be honest, I didn't really like the way that they operated. We charged clients a lot of money, but a lot of that was to cover overheads, not because they were getting higher value. Anyone who works at an agency, you probably see them and they look very tired. There's high turnovers because there's a lot of work that's come in. The salespeople are really good, but there's a lot of pressure on the people in the back end. So just didn't like the way that they worked, and I didn't like the promises that they were giving to people that they knew that they couldn't fulfill. Before that, I ran an in-house agency at one of WA's top building companies. So ran 8 different brands, TV ads, radio ads, all the digital stuff, and had a team under me. So I have a lot of experience in all aspects of marketing and a lot with building and tradies. I've worked with different tradie businesses for over a decade. So I'm really passionate about kind of busting the myths and making sure that people aren't taken for a ride by these big agencies and they actually get value from the work, the money that they're putting in and the work that's being done.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the things that you said when you came along was that with Natasha, is very passionate about helping out clients, and agencies have select time where their consultants can work with clients. And so what would end up happening is Natasha would end up working, sort of 24 hours a day because she wants to, deliver value and a service to the client. But, you were set to a block of hours, which was something you found really difficult, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like if someone pays for 2 hours work a week, you're kind of limited to that 2 hours in an agency. But sometimes people need more effort. Sometimes people just need something explained to them. And then there's other weeks when they don't need as much stuff. So it wasn't really structured that well for getting the best results for people.
Absolutely. Look, one of the big things that we hear out there in the marketplace is the more you spend, the better the results, or you have to pay an agency more if you want quality. What are your views around that, Natasha?
But there's a little bit of truth to that, in that if you're paying really low, then it's likely that that company's offshoring everything. It's sending it all to the Philippines or some other country. What I'm talking about is like if you pay a few $100s for SEO, like good SEO costs money, and there's reasons for that. Same with websites. If you pay $1,000 for a website, the chances are someone's just going to install a template on WordPress for you and expect you to put all the content on. So yeah, that you do have to pay a bit, like a reasonable amount, but just because you're paying $5,000 a month for SEO, that doesn't mean that you're getting more value than if you're paying, say, $1,500, $2,000 a month for SEO. What you need to remember is that traditional agencies, they have a lot of overheads. They have fancy buildings, they market themselves, they have many layers of employees. So when you're dealing with them, you're dealing with an account manager who's then briefing an SEO consultant, and they've probably got production coordinators, web designers, web developers. Like there's a lot of hands in the pie. So there's a lot of people involved in just getting a simple thing done for you, which costs more. But does it actually bring you more value? No, it doesn't add anything to you. It's just the business structure and how it is. It costs more to produce for the same product. You'll also hear that you may need a bigger marketing budget. So this is something that advertising platforms like to say a lot, and also agencies, oh, you have to spend $5,000, otherwise you won't get anything. What are you spending the $5,000 on? Like, it really comes down to working smarter and having targeted strategies that give you ROI. And you need to know what you actually are trying to achieve, because just spending $5,000, like, do you need more sales? How many sales do you need? How much do you need to make for that to be a reasonable amount? Like, who are you looking for? There's so many questions that come into that there's no way to say that, oh, if you're this sort of company, you need to pay this much for marketing services. It really comes down to an individual thing, your own goals, and what you need to grow your business.
Yeah, 100%. And when we've been in this marketing space, well, now that we're in this marketing space, it's amazing what we're hearing from people that we're having conversations about marketing with now. And one thing that I think is a question I'd ask you to ask yourself: if you are paying thousands of dollars per month, what are you getting for it? And if you're not getting anything for it, well, you've got to ask a question, because I think it's important, Natasha, that if you are paying money, there's got to be a return on that investment. You can't just be sinking. Look, there's the setup process, and it doesn't just happen, which we'll talk about soon. But eventually, there's got to be a return on investment, right? They can't just be pouring thousands of dollars into a hole and not getting anything for it.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the other things I'll just add to that is that things like SEO take time, and we'll get onto that. But you should see some progression, and if you're not seeing progression, the company should tell you exactly what they've identified and how they're going to rectify that. What's their plan each month? Like, big things change. Google changes, competitors change, the market changes. So you can't expect that someone who comes up with a strategy at the very beginning, it's going to 6 months down the track, it's going to be exactly the same. But they should then tell you what they're going to do to fix the problems. It shouldn't be a case of like, this is how it's going, you just have to wait. They should be actively telling you and advising you along the way of, this is happening, this isn't what we want, so we're going to do this to get back on track.
Proactive rather than reactive. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Good segue into the next question is, what about instant results guaranteed, or will get you to rank number one in regards to SEO? Or my favorite that we've heard ourselves, we'll just turn on the tap.
Okay, well, we'll start with the instant results guaranteed. A lot of the time when people say instant results guaranteed, they determine what the results are. So they might say, we're going to get you 10,000 people onto your website. What does that mean for you? I could get you 10,000 people onto the website and just put a display on a kid's app and you'll get 10,000 visits. Is that going to help your business? No. So they're arbitrary figures that they know that they can meet that don't actually give any value to your business. Um, my favorite is we'll get you to rank number one. Number one positions these days are, well, for one, that's a huge red flag. No one can promise that. No one owns Google except Google. Even people who work for Google don't really know how the Google algorithm works. So it's not possible for someone to tell you that they're definitely going to get you to number one. Also, every person that searches has slightly different profiles. You get personalized results, so that doesn't mean you're going to be number one for everyone. Um, Usually, what you'll find with them is that they also do that where they set their own keywords. So they'll say, "These are the 10 keywords we're going to get you to number one for." I've seen this quite a few times where businesses have come to these companies and then they are number one for those 10 keywords, but they've found their traffic and their conversions have all dropped off. They've got no leads, they've got no sales. Why? Because those 10 keywords aren't actually what people are searching for. They're just the 10 keywords the agency chose because they knew that they could achieve that and meet their, promise to the customer. But in saying that, they've actually harmed the customer's website by making it drop in the keywords it was getting traffic for that were converting, and now it's getting traffic from keywords that don't have enough search volume or just aren't the right keywords. So really need to be careful about that, because just because you think you should rank for something, or someone says you should rank for, your fencing company, you should rank for fencing all over Sydney. Well, should you rank for fencing all over Sydney if you only do fencing in Sutherland? Well, no, you shouldn't. So there's a lot that comes into that of it's a red flag basically. SEO also takes time to show results, so uh, you have to provide better information on your website. You have to show value. You have to show trust. You have to give a good journey for customers. That's how you climb the rankings, along with a whole bunch of other little things. There aren't any tricks anymore. So it's not a case of, if I put this keyword in your website 5 times, you're going to be number one. That's not how it works. Algorithms change all the time to cut out those cheap tricks. So a lot of the stuff that was done in the past that could get you to number one easily, what happens is Google comes and finds those gaps, and then it punishes the agencies that have done those things. So for example, a couple of years ago, backlinks was the main thing. So people were building all these websites, these dodgy websites that basically all they had were just links to websites. And they'd get that website, that link website to rank well, and then all the websites that had links from them would rank well. But those links had no value because it was just a website designed for the purpose of boosting SEO on the other sites. So what it's actually done now in some of the algorithm changes is that it punishes you for having those bad links. So what boosted you in the short term back then is now punishing you. So if clients can come and they've gone to some usually very low priced agency and all they do is build these dodgy backlinks, and they'll find that their SEO is just not working or it's going backwards, and you have to go and find all those links and remove them and make sure that they're not pointing to the website anymore. So there's a lot of tactics that are used for short term, like let's get you to number one as quickly as possible, that are also really bad long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's there's got to be the work that's put in. It's that same old thing. There's no quick wins. There's no quick wins in marketing. It takes a little while to get things set up and going. And the other thing too, I suppose, it's not just a set and forget, is it?
No, it's definitely not. Like, look, there are times when there are quick wins, and probably not so much in SEO. But when you look at a business and you see, like, when you're putting together a marketing plan, um, you're having a look at, where the opportunities are. Now, there are going to be some opportunities that are going to be easier to obtain, more short term, and then there's going to be ones that are going to be harder, that are long term goals. So, that I call those the quick wins, the things that we can do, make changes today, and we'll see change. We'll see some sort of result pretty quickly. Um, I don't call it turning on the tap, because it's not because it's not a tap. It's more of a slow flow. But what you want is, you want the right people, you want the right kinds of inquiry. There's no point turning on a tap and getting a bunch of inquiries from the wrong people or the wrong location, or that's just going to bog you down. And you're not going to get anything from it. It's going to cost you money, cost you time, and in the end, you end up in a worse position than you were before.
Yep, absolutely. Like, get that low hanging fruit. It's funny because I think I remember a time when you came on and we were looking for, I can't remember the exact keyword, but it was something around software. And so what we were getting searched for was software developers, not software programs. So little tiny things like that.
Yeah, builder software is a big one, in that term, because there's so many ways that that's interpreted. So there's a lot of, you can software build. Is it a builder to build software? So there's a lot of terms where what you think that they mean and what Google or other people searching think that they mean, may not align. So yeah, that's why, research into the SEO, like the keywords that you're actually going to target, and all the different stages of people searching. It's not just about people typing in, builder software. They might be searching, like, what are the top builder software in Australia, like how do I implement builder software. There's so many things. People use Google as a conversation, like that, to have a conversation, to find out things now. So there's a lot to think about in SEO in terms of keywords.
Absolutely. And it's another great example of, what you do very well. But when it comes to another skill, it's important to get someone in who knows what they're doing, because we thought that we were actually searching for the right things, but we were attracting people looking to build software. And then they come to our website and go, hang on, this is not what I looked at. And then they just go away confused, and not even the people we want to talk to. So again, we might be great at technology, okay, and you might be great at plumbing and building and all that sort of stuff, but you really need to bring those specialists in to give you that advice, because that's one of the many things that Natasha showed us at TradiePad. Here's another thing that we hear: more traffic equals more business. What do you have to say about that?
Well, we've kind of touched on that a little bit before, but traffic is important, but more important is attracting the right customers to your site. That's what matters. So if you are a really niche, like if you have a really niche service, there is no point attracting thousands of people to your website if your market is very small, because chances are that only 1% of that 1,000 is actually going to be your customer. So you're paying for people that you don't want. You're dealing with people you don't want. What you want is high numbers of relevant visitors. So you don't want to waste time on irrelevant visitors. You want to get more of the people that you want to talk to. Sometimes that actually means the reverse, less traffic, because you want to narrow in on the location, or you want to narrow in on the type of customer. I've worked with businesses before that are very specific in the value of the jobs that they want to work on. So rather than having people inquire and say and get quotes, and they're never going to do those jobs because the jobs are too small for them, we've implemented strategies that bring that to the surface and make it more of a niche service, make it more of a luxury service, very qualify out those people before they inquire, so that you are getting the customers that you want. You're not just getting more inquiries from people you don't want. The other thing is aligning the search queries that you want to rank for, and the content and the look of your website, with the sort of people that you want to attract. So it's all about getting the right jobs. Um, I've seen before websites that might be offering really luxury services with a premium price tag, but the execution of them and the language on them is very, it looks like it was done 10 years ago, or if it looks like they didn't pay very much for it. Now, if you're offering a premium service, you need to look premium. So there's things like that to consider that um, help you attract the right visitors and convert the right visitors, because that's what it's about. It's not about numbers itself, it's about numbers of the right people.
Yeah, 100%. And once you work out you're attracting the right sort of leads or businesses to your website, then it's important for them once they land on your website for you to be speaking their language as well. Isn't that correct? It's got to be specific to those types of customers. Otherwise, they just go, "This is hang on, I don't quite understand what's going on here," and they move on. Is that correct?
Yeah, you need to understand what they're looking for when they're so, especially with if they're searching and doing SEO, they might be landing on your website at all different places. Everyone doesn't end up in your homepage, so you need to understand if that person is searching that thing, what are they looking for? How's the best way to present that to them and answer their questions and show that we're the right service for them when they land on whatever page it is that ranks for that keyword. So there's a lot of, I guess, consumer psychology that comes into it, making sure that what people are looking for is what you're offering, and you're showing that you're compatible with them, and then that helps with the next step, which is actually getting them to contact you. So getting the people there, then getting them to contact you, and then the step after that is converting those people. And there's things that marketing can actually do to help you convert those people too, because there'll be times when you find that people might get to a certain stage of the quoting process or the sales process and they have an objection. So those objections can be fed back to whoever's providing your marketing, and those can be used as a positive. So brought to light and addressed before they get to the point of converting. And so, for example, say you're selling an apartment on a really busy road, but you don't want anyone to know that it's on a really busy road. So you're advertising, people are inquiring, they're finding out it's on a busy road, and then they're like, well, I don't want to live on a busy road. Instead, state that it's on that road and the advantages of, that bus stops right outside the building. Make it a positive thing. Sure, people who don't want to live on a busy road won't inquire. That's great. You're not spending time dealing with people that aren't going to buy with you anyway. So, there's a lot of things that can be done along the process with marketing to help you convert more people as well on the other side.
And it's another great example of why you need attentive marketing people working with you, because having that feedback is key. And it's not just, again, not just a set and forget, because if things aren't working, the great thing is with someone who knows what they're doing, they can pivot and they can change, and they get the feedback from their sales or someone taking the inquiry, say, hey, these are the type of conversations I'm having. And then your marketing specialist goes back and actually changes it, so that's gold to me, because it's someone who's attentive and you can make changes quickly, and it does have sometimes an immediate effect. We've seen it ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, if you there's a lot of things you can do to make a small tweak, and all of a sudden you're hitting the right spot. But all that feedback is really important. So if you work with an agency at the moment who doesn't ask you any questions, just tells you, then that's bad, because they don't know, they're not getting that information to know. They're saying, hey, we've got you 50 leads this month, that's great. Is it great? Were any of those leads good? What was the quality of them? How many converted? What did they want? Are you getting leads for one specific service, and that means you're not getting leads for the other services? Say you're a plumber and all you're getting is emergency call outs. Is that what you want? Is your business set up to run just off emergency call outs, or do you need more, stable work to fill in? So you need more of a balance. Like, all that needs to come back so that the marketing agency can tailor the marketing each month to make sure that they're actually giving your business the sorts of leads and the sort of work that you need to cope. It shouldn't be a case of them just sending you stuff and saying deal with that. It's a partnership to get the right results.
Absolutely, 100%. Okay, this leads me on to not so much a statement that we're being told, but what we're seeing quite a few tradies who have spent a lot with agencies to build them massive sites targeting whole cities when they're a one-man band, or websites that don't reflect what their ideal customer is looking for. What do you think about that, Natasha?
Look, it's something that does happen, and it's really unfortunate. I've actually worked with a client who had a website built, paid $70,000 for a website to be built, and when I looked at it, and then they came to me eight months later and said, "We haven't had one job from this website. Can you have a look at it?" And I had a look at it, and I said, "I'm really sorry, but I don't know what you do. Like, I've read through all the website. I don't understand what you do." And they explained to me what they did, and I said, "Well, your website doesn't tell me that." So I had to go away and restructure and rewrite the whole website so that it actually said what they did. It was clearly a misinterpretation. The agency that did it before didn't understand what they did, and therefore they built them a website. They didn't understand the customers they were looking for, didn't understand what they did, and they built them a website that didn't convert. So went through that process, changed all the content, and then they got their first client through a couple of weeks later. So sometimes it does work immediately, but it was a really sad thing because they paid all this money to an agency to get this website built, and it didn't even say what they did, didn't meet their customers. There's no one size fits all strategy with tradie businesses, and sometimes with big agencies you'll find that they have a routine. Particularly with smaller businesses, they tend to say, like, all plumbers, this is what we do for plumbers, all electricians, this is what we do for electricians. It's not that case. It depends on where you're located. It depends on exactly what services you offer in that. There's so many things that make businesses unique, so there isn't just like a one size fits all strategy for each business. There's another example that I have that I saw a one-man plumbing business who had a website built and he was getting the SEO done. Wasn't getting any work from the site yet. When I looked at the website, I saw a few issues. Firstly, he operates in Sydney. He's one guy. They were targeting all of Sydney. So just logistically as a business, how is he going to get from, say, Miranda to Box Hill in a day, and just to change a tap? Will he make any money? I know what traffic in Sydney is like. Uh, you got to think about the logistics of the business as well. Is he going to make money if he's one of the pages was about changing taps? If he's doing a job in Box Hill and then in Miranda, changing a tap, is that profitable for his business? Also, every sub area has its own competitors. So rather than focusing, say, on 5 kilometres around his home location, so he cut down travel time and maximise his job bookings and really dominate there, then look at growth, he's essentially competing against every little location in Sydney for plumbers. So unless you're a huge national company that has locations in all those areas, it's not a feasible strategy to start with. You can definitely grow to dominate, but that's usually as your business grows as well, so that you have the ability to service customers across the whole of Sydney, for example, and across all the services. But to start out with that they're saying, oh, it just takes time. It's going to take a lot of time, and it's probably never going to get there if you're trying to target all of Sydney and compete against every little section of plumbers there is in Sydney, because everyone, there's a thing called local SEO, which shows you businesses, particularly around service products, shows you businesses that are near you. So if I'm located in Miranda and I'm searching for a plumber, it's going to show me plumbers that are located close to me first in maps. Um, that's just how it works. So if you're not in that radius, then you're not going to show. And the local SEO plays a big part in like the service. You look for a hairdresser, it shows you the hairdressers. It's not going to show you a hairdresser in Adelaide if you're in Sydney. Even if they have great SEO, it's going to show you, if you're in the CBD, it's going to show you the CBD hairdressers. So there's a lot of things to consider um, in the strategy. And sometimes people these companies try and go big to try and, I guess, show the value, but that's not valuable to me. They've just created a giant mess that's not actually achieving its goal of getting inquiries, when really they could have probably built a 5-page website and be getting a lot more work for this guy. So
It's a great example of you can't cookie cutter. These big large agencies have cookie cutter, almost like templated approaches, but it just goes to show that example is great because you need a tailor made approach for your business. You might be large, you might be a large plumbing company, you might have trucks all over the place. That might be suitable, but if you're not, if you're small, if you're just located in this area, you need a strategy that's going to suit your business and what you're trying to achieve. I think that's a great example. One of the things that we're hearing since we've been into working with Natasha in the marketing space, I'm really surprised because it's like every single person that I talk to has a marketing damage story, I'd call it. Where they've been through and they've paid lots of money and they've got nothing. It's funny, before we were just focusing on technology, but now we're in the marketing space, and we get the same stories in technology where people have paid thousands of dollars and spent hours, hundreds of hours of time, and they've got nowhere. But it seems to be quite consistent, or more consistent in the marketing industry. I spoke to someone the other day that they're paying a few $1,000s a month, and they've been working with a marketing agency for 12 months. They're not getting uh, enough leads to even cover the cost of the marketing company's fees after 12 months work. I mean, that should be a red flag, shouldn't it?
yeah, definitely. And I think clients quite often get influenced by the marketing of marketing companies. Like, marketing companies obviously are good at marketing, so they're good at marketing themselves. So quite often they get sucked in because they show logos of big companies they work with, or say, we work with this client. One thing that you need to watch out with is if anyone mentions big clients, is usually like big companies have multiple marketing structures, like they might have different divisions. They also have a lot of projects on. So just because they work with them doesn't mean that they run all of their marketing. They might have just built a landing page for a competition that they ran, or they might have made, a flyer for them, or it doesn't mean that they are the person that manages everything that they do. So you can't look at those companies and go, wow, they're doing really well in marketing. That's because of this company that's got their logo on there. Because a lot of the time those agencies haven't actually done everything for them. They've just done one little small thing for them, enough that they can put their logo on their project's page. So that's something to watch out for as well, because and it also doesn't tell you when they did this work with those companies. So just because someone has a logo of a large company on it doesn't mean that they are responsible for the results of that company. If that company's getting more revenue, it doesn't mean that agency, I'm not saying that that's in all the cases, but in most of the cases, agencies will use logos that they know will get people's attention because that's their marketing. So yeah, it's just one to watch out for. Don't be too sucked in by the other companies they work for. And if they do, and that is the reason you want to go with them, find out exactly what they have done for that company. If you're going for SEO and they built a landing page for them for a competition, that's not really comparable, so you can't judge their results. So yeah, just something to look at.
Yeah, ask the questions. What did you actually do for that company?
Yeah, and or have a look at their projects page. A lot of the time, they actually break down in there specifically what they have done for that company. If they don't, that means that they're probably hiding something, or they maybe haven't worked with them for years, um, and they're just using their logo. But it's just worth thinking about.
100%. Okay, so just two more. We also find tradies who have been told they need to be on every social media platform, and they're having a hard time managing all the channels. What do you have to say about that, Natasha?
Yeah, social media is a hard one because just because your customers are on social media doesn't mean that they are there to consume the type of information you're sharing. Like, for example, on Instagram, I see on Instagram all sorts of businesses with Instagrams. Instagram is a visual platform. People go on there to look at pictures or watch funny videos. They don't go on there to see pictures of your staff every day or um, quotes that you put up. So it works for some people. So different social media platforms work for different businesses. So you need to understand, firstly, what your customers go on that social media platform to do, what sort of content they want to consume there. So, for example, like interior decorators, painters, builders, Instagram is a great place to showcase the work because people love browsing that stuff. They love looking at pretty interiors on Instagram. Um, but do people really want to see a photo of like an electrician with a like working on a meter box on Instagram? Like maybe once or twice, but unless that person's showing, hey, look at how bad this wiring is and has some sort of, like for example, there's, plumbers that go viral because they find gross things in drains and they show them getting it out or whatever. So there are ways to make it work, but that also requires a lot of your own investment of time because a marketing agency can't do that for you. You have to kind of produce that content yourself because it involves you. So it really comes down to like, do you want to become like a plumbing influencer who makes money from your number of followers, or do you want customers for your business? So social media comes down to essentially like how much time you have for it, if the customers are there to consume the information that you want to give them, and is it going to actually result in a sale? There's other investments of time that might be more valuable for your business. And I'm talking here about not trying to spend all of your money so that you can cover every base. You're focused on the strategies that are actually going to give you the most for your investment.
Yeah, 100%. And I think thinking about what your customer needs to see to actually engage with you to start the conversation about getting work. What does that need to be? Because if it is okay, here's me standing here in my tool belt doing some electrical work. It's like, yeah, right, okay, that's very nice, but what are you going to do for me? What's going to prompt me to get in contact with you? So,
And I mean, also think about the sorts of services that you offer. Like if you're a plumber whose main work is emergency services, then people just go and it's a reactive thing. Someone's pipe bursts and they need a plumber. They look for a plumber. They don't scroll through Instagram to try and find the best looking plumber in Sydney. Maybe they do, but they they don't jump on there. Whereas if you're looking for an interior decorator, you'll do more research, you'll want to see more of their work, you want to see how they or landscapers, for example, like this is what the yard looked like before, this is what it looks like now, wow, that's amazing. um, you know there's more of a decision process there. But if you're working in a service where it's more of a like, my fence just fell down, I need a new fence, um, then it's more likely that people are going to find you through, say, paid advertising or SEO because they're searching for a fence person. They're not going on Instagram or Facebook to search for a fence person. They might go onto forums, like onto groups, and ask groups, like, do you know a good fencing contractor in Sydney? But that's different to the posts that you're posting on social media. That's more of a peer-to-peer, recommendations thing.
So, following on from social media, what about agencies that tell you that you don't need a website because you have the work? Just use social media.
Well, firstly, the thing is that just because you have work now doesn't mean you're going to have work forever. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world. Uh, you might have a big contract, you might have a big client, and one day that client goes, and that was where 90% of your work came from. Or environmental things happen, and all of a sudden the service that you provide is not something that people are willing to fork out money for at a particular moment. So you need more leads to get more work. So, yeah, one day you might wake up and there's a big drought. It's not easy for you to just get a site up and start getting leads without paying a lot in advertising if that's the case. It's much easier to turn down work and make it harder for people to inquire. And in some ways, there's a lot of FOMO about that. If you're a company that's booked out and you can't take on work until 2025, that means that you're really sought after. People like that. It means you're busy. So, but then when you don't become busy, then all of a sudden, people want to work with you because you've got availability. So, it's easy to stop the tap, but it's not easy to turn it on. Um, Also, think of your website as a shop front. So it gives you a professional online presence. When people are searching online, when they're looking at Google Maps or finding a result, they they need to kind of understand what your business is. A lot of businesses don't have like actual storefronts these days. So this is your way of showing the quality of service, of giving them an idea of like what to expect. So the way that what we talked about before, the presentation of the website, you tell them what you offer, you speak to them in a language that's going to be the same sort of experience that they'd get from speaking to you. And it gives you that professional platform online that social media doesn't really give you, because people just see snippets of information and you're tailoring it to a particular platform. The other thing with that is that when you have a website, you can start building up your SEO and ranking for your own business name, ranking in your area. It doesn't mean you have to aggressively go after that, but it means that in say 10 months, all of a sudden you realize you don't have any work, then you've got at least a platform to start with. You're not just having to reactively try and get something up really quickly and throw a lot of money at it. You can kind of leverage what you've already got. So that's really important. And it doesn't have to be a full website. It can just be a landing page, which has, it can still have a navigation where people can jump to the different parts, but it's just a presence there. And then you've got a base that when you do need to build out that website, you just build the pages onto it. You don't have to go and try and engage someone to build your website. And, some agencies take like 3 to 6 months to build one. So it just gives you that base.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's a great example of, again, I don't mean to harp on about this, but you might not need a full blown website. You might just need a landing page, And the other thing which I think is really important to consider here as well is that, especially probably in the last 5 or 6 years, we know how fast things can change because of outside influences, right? So yes, why things might be looking good now, things just might pivot and shift. There's all sorts of influences, and having that, I suppose, footprint already, as opposed to trying to build something from scratch, is massive. And Natasha, just tell me too, is if you've got that digital footprint being that landing page, that means you're already being recognised from Google. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if you've got an SEO optimized landing page, you would you'd at least should rank number one for your own name, depending on what your name is and if you're paying for SEO. Because the reason I say that is that, some people might name themselves like Sydney Plumber, and that's going to be a lot harder for you to rank because there will be a lot of big companies that have already got positions on that. So it should get you in a good position for your own name and within your own location. So the local marketing, it really helps with that. And then you can always build out pages to help then rank with other keywords. You might find, depending on how competitive the industry is and you're in your area, you might find that just a homepage ranks quite well for a lot of your services. In other cases, if you're in a really competitive area and there's a lot of different businesses that offer the same services then you might have to build out, individual service pages eventually when you want to get that work. But it just gives you that base that at least you show up for yourself and you show up in your area. And the reason I say that is because, I launched a website for someone 2 weeks ago, and it has taken 2 weeks for Google to properly rank them for their own name and like approve their Google My Business listing, because it requires you to do a bunch of verification things. So it's not just a case of like launch a website, the next day you're going to be at the top of Google. Like it doesn't work like that. You have to submit it to Google. Google bots have to go over the website. They have to determine when to rank it. You might not go straight to number one. You might slowly climb up, but after 2 weeks, you kind of number one, which is fine if there's no rush. But if you're in a rush, those 2 weeks you'd have to pay for ads. For, say, you're running a radio ad because you need work and you've got a website and no one can find it because you don't rank for your own name, then you have to pay for ads to rank for your own name. So, there's those considerations to take in, that it's better to just have something there as a basis that you can build off when you need it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and this would go for people that are, um, I suppose, starting a business as well. Like starting a business, getting up and going. They've got, okay. When you start a business, you've got limited amount of funds, and you want to build out as as you get established and things like that. But again, I think it comes down to being proactive rather than reactive and having something in place to start with.
Yeah, definitely. And when you say about starting a business, I would put at least a landing page and a Google Maps listing, which is local SEO, as the equivalent as important as a business card. Like business cards are probably becoming a little bit outdated now, but you know, in back in the day, it was like you start a business, the first thing you do is get a logo on a business card because that means you're a business. Now I would say, yeah, you can have business cards, probably put some sort of signage on your car, but you want that digital presence as well so that you actually show up, because there's nothing worse than you've got a sign on your car of that you're a business and they can't find a website for you, so therefore they're like, oh well, is it a legitimate business? There's a lot of yeah, you want a good reputation.
100%. And everything is online now. That's the thing. It's just, yeah. And I think now we've all learned that it's, the interwebs, the internet, websites, technology is here to stay. It's not going to go away anywhere. So I think people have really got to take that into consideration. We don't have time now just to go, oh, I can leave it for a little bit. And it's so competitive out there as well.
Yeah, just one other thing to think about, which is something that a lot of people don't think about, but there's a lot of people that don't answer phone calls when they get phone calls from a number that they don't know, and a lot of the time they Google those phone numbers. So if you have a business phone number and you're calling people because you're calling someone back about a quote, say, they might not answer your phone call because they don't know who who's calling them. So even things like that, someone Googling the phone number of your business and it goes to your website, they're like, oh, that's that business. I do want to speak to them. So there's quite a few things to take into consideration, that it's good. It's good to have a presence.
Absolutely, and I think tradies out there that are listening to this know how many people try and call them and sell to them. So it's it's a big thing. So look, just a call out to anyone listening to this recording. If you have any marketing myths that we've not covered, here that you want clarification on, please get in touch with us. Okay, there's probably a lot that we haven't covered, but we wanted to get on and have a good chat and just bust a few myths and tell people what's really going on in the marketing. It's been a real eye opener for me. And again, it's not about us sort of running down marketing agencies. Look, there's some people out there that are doing good jobs, but I'm really surprised at the amount of, like I said before, carnage or damage stories that I hear from our clients that we're talking to about marketing that they've been through. It's twice what we hear with the technology damage stories, that people have been through. So hopefully today's provided a bit of help and guidance. And look, we've now Natasha and I have been working very hard over the last year to sort of see how marketing is going to fit into the TradiePad suite of services, and it actually goes hand in hand with technology. It's very, very aligned and very, very similar. And so we've had a few of our clients now that we've rolled out different marketing services for websites, landing pages, SEO, and more. And it's been really effective. And when you think about, we're talking about digital, we're talking about technology, it all goes hand in hand. So it's been a real good sort of, I suppose, synergy between technology and also marketing services from TradiePad as well. And Natasha, I'll hand over to you again because I'll get you to explain a little bit around what a marketing health check is.
Yeah, so one of the products that we're offering is a marketing health check. So it basically is for tradie businesses that want an outside opinion of their current efforts. It's not a case of a he said, she said. Maybe you've been using someone and you're not getting any inquiries and they're not giving you any ideas of what you can do about it. Maybe you've done stuff in the past and it hasn't worked and you need to do something again and you just want to know what you can do. Basically what a health check is sitting down with you and discussing your business, finding out firstly what you want to achieve, what you need. Like, I need more work from these services. I need it to be in this area. I need more customers like this. Then what you're getting at the moment to understand, I guess where you sit now and where you need to be. Talking about things that you've done in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked. And then going away and also talking about your competitors. So finding out like who is getting the work or who you see as a competitor. Sometimes that's not a direct competitor. Sometimes they don't do exactly what you do, but they are stealing your clients. Then what I do is I go away and I have a look at the customers and get a deep dive into the market that you're looking at. I have a look at your competitors. I have a look at how your website's ranking and what marketing you're doing and how that messaging and how it fits with what the customers want. And then I come back and I give you recommendations. So it's essentially a way of, kind of, and look, if you're doing the right thing, if your SEO is working and it's a case of like your SEO is good, it's just that you're in a really tough market and you're going to have to either wait a long time or invest more in SEO because that's just how it is. Like, these competitors are spending a lot of money, and this happens a lot, say, in the landscaping space. There's a lot of landscapers that spend a lot of money on SEO each month. So say if you're paying $500 a month for SEO, even if that company is doing a decent job, which they're probably not for $500, but say you're paying $2,000 and they're doing a decent job, if somebody else is paying more and getting more, like continuously just getting that one step ahead of you, then you're never going to catch up. So then you have to do something to kind of jump them to get above them. So sometimes in a competitive market, it is a case of like, what you're doing is fine. You need to, like, it's going to take time, or it's a case of maybe you need to invest more because it's really competitive. Or sometimes it's a case of like just some other things that you could add to what you're already doing. It's not a case of just saying like everything you're doing is wrong. That's not right. It's what's working, what's not working, and where the opportunities are. That's what a marketing health check's about.
Absolutely, it's optimizing. It's a really good point because it's not about nuking it and starting again. Okay, it's building on what you've got. There might be some improvements or changes that you need to make, but it doesn't mean that everything that you've done is a waste of time. Okay, it's something that's really really important and aligns with technology as well, because we have the same thing with people coming to us for technology. It's sometimes they're on the right technology, but they just haven't been taught properly how to use it. And been trained how to use the tool. It's a very similar thing. So. Um, Now that's people that have got marketing in place. What happens if someone doesn't have any marketing in place and they're looking at getting some guidance and advice on the right way to go, Natasha? What do you suggest there?
Yeah, so for those people, we would do a similar thing, but we would do a scoping session with them. So what that is very similar in finding out what their goals are. So if it's someone, say, starting out, it might be a case of what I need for the next 6 months is I need regular work every week. And then my aim in 2 years is to have 3 people working. So that kind of gives us a map of, short-term goals and long-term goals. And once again, going through competitors, working out what services. Sometimes when businesses haven't done marketing before, or they're kind of starting out, they might not know exactly what services they want to offer, or they want to offer everything. So it's really kind of working out what's best for your business, like what's going to be the most profitable jobs for you. That's what we want to focus on. We don't want to focus on, like, there's lots of people searching for this sort of service. Yeah, there might be, but if that's not profitable for you, then that's not going to give you what you need. You want profitable jobs, you want the right clients. So once again, go away, come back and put together recommendations of what to do and budgets for putting some marketing in place. And it would come to, what short term, like what do we need to, if you haven't got anything, it might be a case of like, we need to build you a landing page and set up these foundational things first as a project. And then once that's done, there'll be like a ongoing monthly work that we do that's planned out.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one thing that stuck out to me about and look, it's important in both of those sort of I suppose places or channels, whether you've got existing marketing or you don't have existing marketing. One of the key things is to get the right advice from the get go if you don't have anything in place, because it's same with technology marketing. Otherwise, you spend a lot of time and a lot of money, investing it and not getting the right thing. So it's important that you get in touch with someone who's an expert in the field and can start off and can actually find out about you, what you do, what you want to achieve, and recommend the right path forward with marketing, because you save yourself a lot of time. And I often say to people with technology, and this is the same. And again, I don't want to put anyone else down, but the people that haven't done anything and come to speak to us to start with, they're in the best camp, because they're getting the right advice and they get started on the right thing in the right direction straight away the first time.
Yeah, just something that I'll add to that is, sometimes people, usually someone's had some interaction with a marketing person somewhere along the line. And one of the things that they might get, or they've heard things from friends, and one of the things they might think is that it's going to put a lot of work on them, because a lot of agencies, when you go to them and you, marketing people in general, when you go to them and you say, like, they'll build you a website, but they want you to give them content for that website, and they just pretty up the content, or that there's a lot of input that's needed from you. What we try to do is we want to take as much stress off you guys and make it easier for you. So we try and understand exactly what you're doing and who you're trying to target, and we will put together that stuff. Like, obviously, if you're a fencing company and you put up fences, we're going to need some photos of those fences, but we can also put stock images up. We can also, source different things. But apart from images, really, all of the content, we can put something together and then you can just review it and give us feedback. So we're trying to take as much pressure off you to have to make decisions. It's more a case of like, we understand your business, we understand the customers you're trying to achieve. This is what you should say, this is what you should do. and you just say yay or nay or ask questions about it. We're not going to you and saying, what 20 keywords should you rank for? Because that's not your, it would be like trying to ask me how to, wire up a meter box. I don't know. So you should probably not do it the way that I say. So, it's about trusting somebody and being able to um, not have to worry about that marketing side of the things. All you have to worry about is leads, and if the leads are good quality, and feeding that information back. So that's something that's really important to me, is making sure that it's not a burden on the person that's getting the marketing. They aren't trying to chase you. They're not having all this pressure to give you information. They just can review and give you feedback.
We'll do all the heavy lifting.
Yep.
Let's talk about price. So, look, our health checks and our our marketing health checks and marketing scoping sessions start off around about $360, including GST, depending on the size of the business. Okay, and anybody that books one before the end of April will get a 50% discount on that. So, if you're in any of these positions that we've talked about today, or want to find out more, give us a call. Okay, we'll put a link that you can click on, okay, at the end of the video. So you can just click on and you can book a 15-minute inquiry call. And it's no obligation, okay, because realistically, our 15-minute inquiry calls are, for us to gather a bit of information about you so we can basically recommend the right process for you. So we'll talk you all through that, ask a few questions, okay, and then say to you, look, this is what we think is going to be best for you, whether a health check or a scoping session. We'll even talk about what comes next and talk about price ranges and things like that as well. Okay, but it's a no obligation 15-minute inquiry call. And look, yes, 15 minutes, you might think, oh, that's not enough time. On average, our 15-minute inquiry calls go for about 40 minutes. So, and that's not because of us, that's because of you, answering questions and talking to us about what you want to achieve. So, look, I'll just, before I sign off, I'll just pass over to Natasha. Is there anything else you want to add before we close off today?
No, not really. Just to say that, if you are confused, if you don't feel like you are getting that you really understand what's going on with your marketing, if you just don't understand, you have questions, a health check is a really great way of just getting some advice. There's no pressure. It's really just to try and help you guys out. And if you decide at the end that you want us to do some of that work for you, then that's great. If you don't, then that's fine. But it's really about trying to help tradie businesses understand and get all the jargon out of marketing and actually get some results.
Yeah, we're here to make it easier for you. So thank you for taking the time to listen to us today.
Yeah, thanks everyone.